My initial tagline for my first show was like, I'm coming at this from the perspective of the dance floor as opposed to the DJ booth. It's about adapting with who you are at that time in your life and what you need. And that's what I did. I felt like I wanted to prove a point.
17 years with the Beeb. You became one of the best DJs, one of the most well-known DJs in the whole of Europe. Tremendous success. Why you? When you look back and connect the dots, because, you know, there's very few people at that top table. There's a lot of people that want to be at that top table. There's a lot of people that would love, that are listening to this right now, and that would absolutely say they would want to take your career, to sit at that table, the table you walked away from. Mm-hmm. Why you?
Well, I think essentially I was different because I was a woman. There wasn't that many women around. When I was starting out in the world of dance music. So, I mean, there was women. And I'm by no means kind of saying that there wasn't, but there wasn't very many. So I think for Radio 1, they quite liked this idea of having a young woman join the station and do dance music. For them, they really liked the fact that I wasn't an expert. I wasn't tried and tested. I didn't have a reputation for being a huge global DJ. They wanted to employ someone that was representative of the audience. My initial tagline for my first show was like, I'm coming at this from the perspective of the dance floor as opposed to the DJ booth. I'm a fan here. And then obviously I got the gigs off the back of that, and then slowly that transformed into me being a touring DJ and, you know, Ibiza residencies and all of that biz. I do think that at the start of my career, there was a kind of, it felt a bit like a phenomenon because at the front of all my shows, it was women. It was all girls. And everyone used to remark on that. And I used to love that. So I think there was a feeling of me bringing a different maybe audience to the table. I was very amenable. I was very, you know, ambitious. I was professional. I showed up. I did the work. I had a great team, an all-female team who worked really hard. I don't know. I think I can't tell you any more than that, Steve. I don't know. I find it really difficult.
How long was your apprenticeship? How long did you, from the day you first, you know, DJ'd Span a Track, to when the world knew your name? How long was that period?
I mean, like, as in, like, I used to DJ around my friends' parties and stuff, like, just for fun from when I was about 20. Mm-hmm. And then I got my show on Radio 1 in 2004. So I would have been, it would have been maybe like 3 or 4 years. Yeah. Because when I got my show on Radio 1, people knew my name immediately, which was quite mad.
Quite mad?
Well, it was just mad to be like, even though I'd worked behind the scenes at radio and I'd seen DJs, it was just quite bizarre to be going from the assistant producer, the person who made the tea, to then being like a DJ, get an agent, let's do a photo shoot. You know, it was just whoa, it was quite, but actually the biggest shock for me was going from working full time to having one show a week and just being really like, what? Because I love working. So I was a bit bored. So I had to find a way to make peace with being freelance, I suppose, and working in my own hours.
Do you think your relationship with your work is healthy?
Good question. I do now, but it definitely hasn't been in the past. I've always worked from when I was 15. I really enjoy working. I've been hugely ambitious. So I had a sense of momentum that I felt like I had to honor.
Why?
I think there was a lot of pressure being a female in what was essentially what felt like a man's world. So I felt very like I wanted to prove that this was possible and that women could DJ and we could carry a crowd and we could carry a club night and an event and a festival and a residency, all of that biz. I felt like I wanted to prove a point, basically. So there was that, but I also loved it. So it was kind of a combination of both. A lot of the DJs at Radio 1 were really competitive as well. So it's kind of, you kind of sense that there's a sense of like wanting to be able to stand and be proud of your lot and what you represent and what you bring to Radio 1, you know? So that momentum like carried me all the way through from my mid-20s up to being around 40. And then just kind of just so mad, like just, you know, stepping off that train. It's just crazy because you ask yourself all these questions. Where was all that coming from? Why did I want to work so hard? Who was I trying to prove these things to? You know, but the fact of the matter is I did enjoy it. And, you know, I'm not going to sit here and be like, it was awful. It wasn't. It was absolutely fucking amazing. So I'm really grateful for it.
But it was unsustainable?
It was unsustainable for where I was at. And this is the thing that I've learned is that where I was at in my life, it didn't work at that time. But as we know, life changes, our situations change all the time. So I could go back to being a full-time touring DJ in 5 years and do my Ibiza residencies all over again. And I quite like having that openness. This doesn't have to be a closed book now. I could go back to broadcasting and doing a daily radio show. It's about adapting with who you are at that time in your life and what you need. And that's what I did. So for me, and it's only really in the last year that I've opened up to everything again. I think I'd been so blinkered, like, that's it now, radio's done. I'm going to be a writer, I'm going to be a podcaster, and I'm going to DJ now and again, the end. But now it's like, no, actually with Before Midnight, it's like, no, I can really flourish as a DJ. I can really make this last and blossom into something that's completely different than how I envisioned being a DJ as an older person. Same with, you know, radio. I could go back to that and find a whole new way of doing radio that feels amazing for who I am at that moment. So I really like this feeling of everything being open and attainable according to where I'm at in my life.
With all of this chaos,
yeah,
I think is a good word, because I think chaos is, going back to something you were talking about earlier, the need for something to strive for and a sense of forward momentum. It's funny, I read about how we go through lives thinking we're trying to reach stability, having no goals, everything's sorted. But really, we're actually trying to stay in chaos. And it's kind of a paradox that when we reach stability, we get psychological chaos. And when we're in chaos, we have stability. Yeah. Like when we're striving and when we have goals to complete and things are busy, we're stable. Yeah. But with all this chaos that you've chosen over the last, 10 years,
yeah,
what's your mental health journey been like?
I mean, the mental health journey's been pretty okay. And I realize how lucky I am to say that, I feel very grateful that I haven't suffered from depression or anxiety or anything like that in my life. Weirdly recently, and it's interesting that you talk about this idea of when you stop, then kind of you have chaos in your head. So I've experienced a bit of that in the last 6 months. And I think that is finally like a year after leaving radio, it's all kind of settled down and everything I've wanted to change has changed and life is really safe. It's really predictable and I'm a little bit bored. So it's like, I've had to be like, okay, you've got everything you want, but now you need a bit of chaos again.
If you love the Diary of a CEO brand and you watch this channel, please do me a huge favor. Become part of the 15% of the viewers on this channel that have hit the subscribe button. It helps us tremendously, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests.